Hey Flom here, and real quick I'm going to show you, I'm here working on my Brother ScanNCut, and I just want to show you how you can go in and scan, and all you would do is put the scanning mat in here and it'll scan it in for you, and then go in, and in this case what I have scanned, and you can see it right here, you can see my word thanks. So today what I scanned was this word thanks off the computer. I picked a cursive font because I like cursive fonts a lot, but also because then I can put it on here and I can move it wherever I want. I can go in here and size it whatever size I want. I make thank you cards the absolute most. So whatever size, however many of them I want, I can make happen, and then I can move them wherever I want onto my mat, and I can use either a whole sheet, or if I happen to have just a segment of a piece of paper, say a scrap of watercolor paper like this, I can just set it on my mat wherever I want, and then come on here, and what I do, you can scan for where your paper is. What I like to do is I just count the squares. I just look at where the squares are, then I can look back up here and say, okay, it needs to go right here. When I'm ready, I can say, okay, when everything looks good, okay, cut it, and we are ready. And here, you can see I've already cut one. Now I'm ready to get making some cards. I love that I have the freedom to make my own beautiful words, and I love the idea of, I really like cursive fonts. For example, this one is called Grand Hotel. It's a free font. And I really like cursive fonts for this because then it's just one piece. Everything is connected. Now, if something wasn't quite connected when you print it out, there is a way that you could make it connected. And that is what you could do. This was already connected, my original, as you can see. And you can see that, and if I wanted, I could cut the center of that out, I suppose, but I don't really want to. But if this wasn't connected the way I wanted, I like the way that this turned out. If it wasn't, I could just take a black pen and I could, oh, and I'm getting that all wet, and I could just alter, or something really dark, pen. I happen to be using a pencil right now, but like if I wanted this to be sealed, I could just go like that. I could kind of alter the computer font if I wanted. I could also cut, like if I really wanted this S to cut out, if I wanted that gap to be open so that it would cut, I could use a white pen and mark over there, or I could come in with scissors and cut a little snippet out. There's a lot of little sneaky ways where you can kind of customize your font. But what I'm more interested in at the moment, because it's just so much fun, is I'm going to take some watercolor, and whatever watercolor, or actually if you had spray mists would work just fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the little one here, and I'm going to spray it down with water first. This is watercolor paper. The ScanNCut will cut out whatever kinds of paper and things that you happen to have, and if it's, you'll notice my watercolor isn't really blending. That means the paper's probably not quite wet, so I'm just going to put a little more water on it. You don't have to start with the wet paper. I like to start with the wet paper because I really want these colors to mix and to blend and interact with each other. So that's why I do that. And then I just add, you can see how I love how when the paper's wet, it soaks all along. And I extra love that I didn't have to cut this out myself or buy any special dyes. I mean, outside of having my ScanNCut machine, of course. I can just colorize this, customize it, and it looks like the edge is staying a little bit white. I kind of like that, so we're going to set that one aside and let it dry. And this one, I'm just going to turn it upside down and soak up all that water that's already on my mat here. I do like for this kind of thing to work on a slick surface or some surface that's not going to really get, you know, messed up or anything by me spraying water and playing with watercolors and doing all this wild and crazy stuff. So I'm just going to repeat again. I can use different colors. I could use one color. Again, if you have spray mists, you can definitely use those. If I wanted to, I could do kind of a rainbow I get a rainbow going here where I use different colors, or I work into lighter colors, or you know what, whatever inspires, whatever gets you going. There's not a wrong answer here, and the greatest part is if you love it, it's easy to make more. If you don't love it, that's okay too. It's just a little scrap of paper you're playing with, because of course my ScanNCut machine can work with any size paper that I would like. Well, that's kind of funky. If you don't like how funky it is pretty forgiving stuff. That's why I like to work on a watercolor, nice heavy watercolor paper. And I love that you know, the ScanNCut will cut it out really easily. But I also love how forgiving it is. So if I go, you know what, I think I was on the right track with, not with reds, but with more blues and greens and such, I can come in here and just kind of rework it a bit, and it's no problem whatsoever. Isn't that fun? Oh, you guys, I could sit here and just color all day, because this to me is my idea of a good time, a fun way to spend a couple minutes here and there, and you see how quickly it all comes together. All right, so with my words of thanks all set up, the next step, of course, would just be for me to create a card, and I have got a custom sentiment all ready to go. I'll see you next time.